Camelot Crusade. In the heart of Camelot, where the gleaming towers of King Arthur's castle touched the sky, the legendary Knights of the Round Table gathered. These valiant warriors, bound by a code of chivalry and loyalty, were known far and wide for their bravery and honor. Among them were Sir Lancelot, Sir Gawain, Sir Percival, and many others, each with their own tales of heroism and adventure. They met in the Grand Hall, the Round Table symbolizing equality and unity, a place where all voices could be heard. One fateful day, as the knights convened, a messenger arrived with grave news. The distant village of Ealdor, nestled at the edge of the enchanted Darkwood Forest, was under siege by a fearsome dragon. This dragon, known as Fyrnath, had terrorized the region for weeks, burning crops, destroying homes, and capturing livestock. The villagers lived in constant fear, their cries for help echoing through the forest. King Arthur, with a furrowed brow, addressed his knights. "Brave knights of Camelot, the people of Ealdor are in dire need of our aid. Who among you will take on this perilous quest to slay Fyrnath and restore peace to the land?" Without hesitation, Sir Lancelot, the most skilled and noble of the knights, stepped forward. "My liege, I shall undertake this quest. Fyrnath's reign of terror must end." Sir Gawain and Sir Percival, loyal companions to Lancelot, also volunteered. "We shall join you, Lancelot," Gawain declared. "Together we will defeat this dragon and save Ealdor." With Arthur's blessing, the three knights set off on their journey, their hearts filled with determination. The road to Ealdor was long and treacherous, winding through dense forests and across rugged mountains. Along the way, they encountered many challenges, but their unwavering spirit and camaraderie saw them through each trial. As they neared Ealdor, they came across a group of frightened villagers seeking refuge in the forest. The villagers spoke of Fyrnath's lair, hidden deep within the Darkwood Forest, a place where few dared to venture. The knights listened intently, gathering all the information they could before pressing on. The Darkwood Forest was a place of ancient magic and deep shadows. The air was thick with the scent of pine and moss, and the only sounds were the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of mysterious creatures. The deeper they went, the darker and more foreboding the forest became. But the knights pressed on, guided by their sense of duty and the knowledge that the lives of many depended on them. After several days of travel, they reached the edge of a vast, murky swamp. According to the villagers, Fyrnath's lair lay beyond the swamp, in a cave carved into the side of a jagged cliff. The swamp was treacherous, filled with hidden sinkholes and dangerous creatures. But the knights were undeterred. With Lancelot leading the way, they carefully navigated the swamp, using their swords to cut through the dense underbrush. As night fell, they made camp on a small patch of dry ground. The flickering fire cast long shadows on their faces as they discussed their plan. They knew that confronting Fyrnath would be the greatest challenge they had ever faced. The dragon was not only powerful but also cunning, capable of using the dark magic of the forest to its advantage. "We must be cautious," Lancelot advised. "Fyrnath will not be easily defeated. We need to use both our strength and our wits." The next morning, they resumed their journey, and by midday, they stood at the entrance to Fyrnath's lair. The cave mouth was wide and dark, exuding a palpable sense of dread. As they ventured inside, the air grew colder, and the smell of sulfur filled their nostrils. The walls were lined with glittering crystals that cast an eerie glow, illuminating the path ahead. Suddenly, a low, rumbling growl echoed through the cave, followed by the sound of massive wings flapping. Fyrnath emerged from the shadows, its scales shimmering like molten gold, and its eyes burning with a fierce, malevolent intelligence. The dragon's presence was overwhelming, its sheer size and power dwarfing the knights. "Who dares to enter my domain?" Fyrnath roared, its voice shaking the very walls of the cave. "We are knights of Camelot," Lancelot replied, his voice steady and fearless. We have come to end your reign of terror and bring peace to the land." Fyrnath laughed, a deep, menacing sound. "Foolish mortals! You think you can defeat me? Many have tried, and all have perished." With that, the battle began. Fyrnath unleashed a torrent of flames, forcing the knights to scatter. Lancelot, Gawain, and Percival fought with all their might, their swords flashing in the dim light. They struck at the dragon's scales, but Fyrnath's hide was tough, and their blades barely made a mark. Using his agility and speed, Gawain distracted the dragon, drawing its attention away from his companions. Meanwhile, Percival searched for a weakness, his keen eyes scanning the dragon's massive form. Lancelot, the most skilled of the three, engaged Fyrnath directly, his movements precise and controlled. The battle raged on, the cave echoing with the sounds of clashing steel and roaring flames. Despite their bravery, the knights were pushed to their limits. Fyrnath's strength and fury seemed unstoppable. But they refused to give up, driven by their sense of duty and their commitment to protect the innocent. At a critical moment, Percival noticed a small gap between Fyrnath's scales, near its underbelly. "Lancelot," he shouted. "Aim for the gap beneath its belly. It's vulnerable there." With renewed determination, Lancelot maneuvered beneath the dragon, narrowly avoiding its lethal claws and tail. He thrust his sword with all his might into the gap, the blade piercing through the scales and into Fyrnath's flesh. The dragon let out a deafening roar of pain and fury, thrashing violently. Gawain and Percival seized the opportunity, attacking the dragon from both sides. Their combined efforts weakened Fyrnath, and Lancelot struck again, this time driving his sword deep into the dragon's heart. With a final, agonized roar, Fyrnath collapsed, its massive body shaking the ground. The knights stood victorious, breathing heavily but triumphant. They had done the impossible, they had slain the fearsome dragon and saved the village of Ealdor. They took a moment to catch their breath and then carefully made their way out of the cave, carrying with them a few of Fyrnath's scales as proof of their victory. When they returned to Ealdor, the villagers greeted them as heroes, their faces filled with joy and gratitude. The knights were given a hero's welcome, with feasts and celebrations held in their honor. They stayed in the village for a few days, helping to rebuild and ensuring that the people were safe and secure. Upon their return to Camelot, King Arthur and the court were overjoyed at their success. The tale of their bravery spread throughout the kingdom, and the knights were honored with a grand ceremony. The scales of Fyrnath were displayed in the great hall as a symbol of their courage and strength. But for Lancelot, Gawain, and Percival, the greatest reward was knowing that they had fulfilled their duty. They had protected the innocent and upheld the ideals of the Round Table. They knew that their journey was far from over and that many more challenges awaited them. But they were ready, their hearts filled with the knowledge that together they could face any foe. And so, the legend of the Knights of the Round Table continued to grow, a tale of heroism, camaraderie, and unwavering commitment to justice. In the heart of Camelot, where the spirit of chivalry thrived, the knights stood as beacons of hope and symbols of the enduring power of courage and honor. This has been a Storytime story on YouTube. Thanks for listening.